grab your coat and get your hat. Leave your worry on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear a pitter-pat? And that happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny, sunny, sunny side of the street. Hi, welcome to another On the Sunny Side of the Street. I'm Todd Gross, your host, a clinical psychologist and director of Adams Street Associates, a group private practice in Newton. And our show On the Sunny Side of the Street, as you know, really tries to look at another side of reality. Besides all the bad news that you hear on TV that always depresses you, we try to look for stories of people who are doing things that are really positive in the community, that make a difference, people helping other people, affecting them in positive ways, or inspiring stories. And as you know, we've done a lot of shows on different forms of art. We've done dance, and we've done music, and we've done art. But one of the forms, wonderful forms of expression that really, I think, belongs on the sunny side of the street is comedy. So tonight, for the viewing audience, what I really thought we might do is look a little bit at the form of comedy called improvisation. And to do that, my wife and I saw a wonderful group of performers called Improv Jones Boston. And so we're lucky enough to have two of them with us today. And we're going to sort of talk a little bit about the role of comedy, but also we're going to give you a chance to see a little bit of how improv works. So to help us do that, first on my left is Lauren Burning. Thank you for coming, Lauren.
Thank you for having us.
Nice to have you here. And we have Birch over there.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
Thank you guys for coming. Maybe just to give the audience a little sense of improv, just first question would be just a little bit of how Improv Jones got started. If you can just give me a little sense of that too. Yeah.
Okay, so Improv Jones is actually almost a franchise now. We started in Providence, and there's a great group in Providence going for over a decade. Really has a good following. 2 nights a week does a show, and the founding members, Mauro and Krista, really got that going. Krista, unfortunately, for work, had to move out of Providence. So, heartbroken, she came to Boston, and after some time without improv, and her loneliness caught up to her, and she said, you know what, we need to do more improv. So she started Improv Jones Boston. So now we've got Improv Jones Providence and Improv Jones Boston, and we've been doing that now for a few years.
What would you say, if for each of you, drew you to do this? That's a question I'd like people to understand a little bit, in case they're interested in careers, something like this too.
For me, probably quite different than you, I assume, but for me, when I was 13, my mother decided that she didn't want a rambunctious teenager, and so she wanted to get me involved in things. So she dragged me, promising that it was for her, to some free improv workshops, and she was good, but didn't really feel that it fit her. Whereas I sort of was quite accepted into the community.
You were gooder.
I was gooder. Gosh darn it. So I started doing that, and we did local improv. We raised money for a community theater, and I would do improv-a-thons every year, and then started teaching it to kids at summer camps.
Oh, nice.
And
so
then
teaching with kids.
at university, and then started teaching it to adults, and on the side I've competed and done all that. So for me, it was just sheer amusement. And
awesome. That's great. How'd you get into it too, Birch?
Oh, I'm just desperate for attention.
It's good to be honest. Yeah. Any other reason?
I actually did some theater when I was in high school. I did a lot of like stage crew, set building, technical stuff, and then they tried to get me involved in theater. And oddly enough, I get really nervous when there's prepared material. If I have to remember something and someone's relying on me.
Remember lines and stuff,
Yeah, I can't. I have a really bad memory, so I had a lot of trouble with that and a lot of anxiety. And then I just accidentally did some improv, and I loved it.
Accidentally?
Yeah. There was a variety show that they were running, and they said, okay, we're going to have everyone do some improv games. So they had me do one game, and it was a natural. So I was even gooder than good.
Wow.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, so I got involved in that, and I was like, oh, this is great. And I went to college. I didn't do improv for the first 1.5 years, and then I got involved with the group and really, really loved it, and I've been doing it since then.
Awesome. That's cool. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Boston University.
Oh, okay.
Also known as Boston, blah, 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 blah.
Well, just another question, and then maybe we'll show people a little bit of how improv works. But I'd be interested in both of your opinions, because you've been doing it now for a while, both of you. And we've had a chance to watch you and loved it, I should add, for the audience. But what kind of effect do you think it has on audiences? In other words, do you have some belief about the role of comedy, too, in life? Because you're doing something, number one, as you said, because it's fun and you enjoy doing it and you're good at it. But do you think about it in terms of its impact on people and what it does for people?
Absolutely.
Yeah, say a little about that. I'd like to hear your opinion.
Well, I mean, I think that there are sort of a number of facets that work in here, because I think that part of it with the whole coming up with things on the spot is very, kind of a mind-opening concept. It's lets you do everything. There's the concept of the fear of failure, and I think that if you accept that you can fail, that's great.
And it's still okay.
Right, and so
that's an important point in life.
That's wonderful. And then when I was taught improv, there are a couple of things that I was taught, and one of them is that it's about supportive and supporting your group. And so one of the things that I really hold fast to is that if you are performing and you are trying to be funny and you say things that are purposefully funny, you're elevating yourself and thus putting others down, and that if you say things that support your players and make them look good, and you are all doing that and you're all making each other look good, then it's an all-inclusive group supportive thing. And that's kind of mildly hokey, if you will, but I really
like it.
believe that.
Yeah.
I think that it's really wonderful, and so I think that it's a very supportive concept, and that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy doing that with kids and other people, bringing people into this. And then there's also a growing industry using improv and the games associated to go into businesses and do workshops. And so I've sort of started delving into that just a little bit.
Too.
But that is wonderful too, and doing team building with that is great. So
I love the concept of, not just for comedy, but in life in general, of how important it is to work together, and how when you do something that highlights another person, that makes the whole experience better for everybody, and that attitude itself. Anything you'd add to, Bert, what you think about comedy? And
well, I like, I mean, you covered really well the performer's perspective and how you can teach it to people, and sort of it gives the public this idea of supporting and always saying yes, and it is great for business. From an audience perspective, I like the idea that no matter what's going on in your life, you come and watch the show where you just escape and accept the reality that we provide you. And not only that, but you get to laugh at your human quirks.
Right.
That's
a positive
great
thing
stuff.
too. Like it's not. It's even when we're doing things that are purposefully boring scenes or morose scenes or negative. There's never that connotation associated with it that it actually is. This negative, dark, evil thing. It really is poking fun at that concept, and I think is thus turning it on its face. And I really like that. So
to add to what both you have said from the point of view of a therapist, I find doing therapy with people that one of the most healing agents is laughing and humor, and getting people to laugh at themselves, and especially if you have somebody who's a perfectionist, learning to laugh at their own perfectionism. One of the things we do is a technique called blow up, where there's something that they're really upset about, and they're really obsessed on it, and you tell them to imagine it to its extreme absurdity. And like the Queen of England will not be able to sleep unless you handle this, and they start to laugh at themselves, and it's very healing. So there's also studies that show that if you do comedy, they showed